What the aliens didn't understand was that humanity wasn't going to give up. The invasion may have begun with fear and destruction, but now it would ignite something far greater. The first step in humanity's fight for survival was already underway. They may have lost the first battle, but they were far from defeated. There was a quiet anger building, a determination to survive, to take revenge for the innocent lives lost in the alien attack. The question was not if they would fight back, but when. And so, in the shadow of the alien ships, with the weight of the 12 fallen soldiers on their shoulders, humanity began to rally. They began to plan. They began to unite. The alien invaders had underestimated Earth. They had thought the world would crumble under their attack. But the people of Earth had a strength the aliens couldn't possibly understand. It wasn't just their technology or their armies. It was their will to survive. And that was something the aliens had yet to encounter. While the world mourned, it also began to prepare. The governments worked together, putting aside their differences for the first time in history. The brightest minds on Earth turned their focus to one goal: how to fight back. The war had only just begun, but humanity would soon show the aliens what it meant to mess with the wrong planet. The aliens had come to Earth thinking they were unstoppable, but what they didn't realize was that Earth had something far more powerful than technology. They had something that would turn the tide of the war, something that would make them regret ever setting foot on this planet. That something was humanity's will to fight back. The aliens may have taken the first step, but humanity would soon take the next. And this time, they would make sure the aliens knew that Earth wasn't a world they could conquer without a fight. The destruction left by the alien assault weighed heavily on the minds of Earth's survivors. Cities once full of life were now nothing more than piles of rubble, while entire populations were wiped out in mere hours. It was a reality no one could truly fathom. The world had been invaded by a force so advanced, so deadly, that even the bravest souls couldn't stop it. But as the dust settled and the cries of grief filled the air, something shifted within humanity. Something deep inside the hearts of the survivors began to awaken. The 12 brave soldiers, who had given their lives in the hope of defending the planet, were now martyrs, their sacrifice fueling a new kind of fury that burned in the hearts of millions. At first, there was disbelief. The human race had never faced anything like this before. Alien invaders, without warning or reason, had come to Earth and slaughtered their best and brightest without hesitation. It was unimaginable. Yet, this tragedy had triggered a change. People began to realize that Earth's fate wasn't sealed, not yet. Even though their military was overpowered, their cities reduced to ashes, and their technology no match for the aliens, the will to fight was growing stronger. Survivors gathered in secret, forming resistance groups, each more determined than the last. Fear had taken root, yes, but so had something far stronger: defiance. Humanity was never going to accept defeat. The memory of those 12 fallen soldiers, their faces fresh in the minds of the people, was the spark that would ignite a fire within Earth's remaining defenders. In every corner of the planet, the survivors began to find new ways to stand up to the invaders. The most brilliant scientists and engineers were pulled into secret projects, trying to figure out what made the alien ships so powerful and how they could use that knowledge to fight back. With the help of a few scraps of alien technology left behind after the first wave of the attack, they started to build weapons they had only dreamed of before. The work was slow, and progress came in fits and starts, but the desire for vengeance pushed them forward. The aliens had shown no mercy when they destroyed Earth's finest soldiers. They had given no second chances, no warnings, and no hope. But humanity, fueled by a newfound rage, was determined to take back what was rightfully theirs. The aliens thought they had shattered humanity's resolve with their brutal assault. They were wrong. Humanity wasn't just going to survive. They were going to fight for every inch of their planet, no matter the cost. In the darkened corners of laboratories and military bunkers, teams of scientists and engineers worked day and night, using the alien technology to reverse engineer their weapons. They didn't understand all of it, but they understood enough. Slowly, humanity began to piece together a way to fight back. They couldn't match the aliens in terms of firepower or ship size, but they could use their own minds, their resourcefulness, and their unbreakable will to create something even more powerful. As days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, the rest of the world watched from the safety of underground bunkers, unsure of what to expect next. Earth's leaders, previously scattered and disorganized, began to unite. The war, once thought to be lost, was now something everyone on the planet was working toward. This wasn't just a war for survival. It was a fight for justice, for the memory of those who had fallen, and for the future of every living soul on Earth. And then came the breakthrough. It wasn't a new weapon or a powerful piece of technology, but a realization. Humanity could fight this war not just with technology, but with strategy. They understood the aliens' methods now. They understood the patterns of their attacks, and most importantly, they understood that the aliens had underestimated them. They had thought Earth was weak, fragile, and disorganized. The aliens had no idea that this very weakness would be their downfall. Humanity wasn't going to fight the way the aliens expected. They weren't going to stand in open battlefields with their weapons and tanks, trying to outgun the enemy. No, the human race was going to fight with cunning. They would use the very weaknesses the aliens had overlooked to their advantage. Earth's fighters would use the terrain, use the cities, and use the desperation of the survivors to craft attacks the aliens would never see coming. The war wasn't going to be won in space or on open fields. It was going to be fought in the shadows, in the spaces the aliens hadn't fought to guard. As humanity began to adapt, they became more than just survivors. They became a force the aliens would have to reckon with. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about survival. It was about showing the invaders that no matter how advanced their technology, no matter how overwhelming their power, humanity's will to survive was stronger. The first signs of success came in small, surprising victories. The resistance managed to down one of the alien ships, sending it crashing into the ocean. It was a major blow to the invaders, though they tried to downplay it. But the truth was clear. Humanity had figured out a way to make them bleed. From that moment on, the tides began to shift. The world watched in awe as humanity's fighters launched their first real counteroffensive. It was a mix of human ingenuity and stolen alien technology that turned the tables. Each victory, no matter how small, brought more hope, more belief that Earth could reclaim its future. The aliens were ruthless, but humanity had something they didn't: the power of unity and the desire for revenge. The world that had been crippled by fear was now starting to stand tall again. Every day, more battles were fought, and slowly but surely, the alien forces began to feel the pressure. Earth wasn't just a planet to invade anymore. It had become a battlefield where humanity's spirit could no longer be denied. What the aliens didn't realize was that with every victory, every piece of technology they left behind, humanity was becoming stronger. They were no longer the weak, helpless species they had been when the invasion began. No, they had turned into something far more dangerous, a force capable of retaliating, adapting, and most of all, winning. And as the weeks stretched into months, the thought began to spread. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to take back what was theirs, to reclaim their planet, their homes, and their future. The aliens had thought they had broken the human spirit, but they had no idea how wrong they were. Every attack the aliens launched only served to make humanity stronger. And while the alien ships hovered above, they had no idea that the tide of war was turning against them. The human race wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to make sure the invaders never again dared to set foot on their planet. As the battle raged on, Earth would stand tall, not just as a planet, but as a symbol of defiance. And in the hearts of every person still alive, the question burned: how much longer could the aliens continue their invasion when Earth's spirit was stronger than anything they could ever imagine. The war between Earth and the alien invaders was no longer just about defense. It had become something far more personal. The shock and devastation from the first assault still echoed in the hearts of the people, but now a new kind of energy had taken over. There was anger, yes. There was pain too. But there was also something more powerful rising within humanity, a need for justice and a burning desire for revenge. The resistance, once a small and scattered force, was now a growing army. People from all corners of the world, from every nation, began to join the fight. The fear that had gripped the world during the initial attacks had been replaced by determination. The survivors, those who had lost everything to the alien invaders, no longer wanted to simply stay alive. They wanted to make the invaders pay for the lives lost, for the cities destroyed, for the devastation they had caused. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about revenge. In the shadows of destroyed cities, the resistance made their move. They had learned a great deal from the alien technology that they had managed to capture during the earlier attacks. It was still a mystery in many ways, but they had figured out enough. They had taken what they could, and now they were creating their own weapons. Earth's engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, breaking down alien tech and adapting it to their needs. They were no longer defenseless. They now had the means to strike back. The first of these weapons wasn't much, just a small device they had managed to reverse engineer from the wreckage of an alien ship. It didn't look like much, just a simple metallic orb with strange markings etched across its surface. But when they activated it, the result was far beyond what anyone expected. The orb fired a powerful energy blast that sent an alien scout ship crashing to the ground. The resistance had done it. They had taken down one of the invaders. The news of this small victory spread quickly across the globe, fueling the fires of rebellion in people's hearts. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They thought that after their brutal first attack, the people of Earth would bow down in fear, submit to their superiority. But what they didn't know was that humanity had something the aliens couldn't possibly predict: an unbreakable will to survive, a fierce desire to protect their home, and a thirst for revenge that grew stronger with each alien casualty. The war had become personal. The losses of the past were no longer seen as mere tragedy. They were seen as the fuel to ignite humanity's ultimate retaliation. Now the alien forces were beginning to feel it. The tides of battle were shifting. Earth's resistance wasn't just playing defense anymore. They were striking back, and they were getting better at it with each passing day. But the aliens didn't sit idle either. They were adapting, becoming more aggressive, more determined. They knew that humanity's resolve was growing stronger, and they knew that if they didn't act fast, they would risk losing control of their invasion. The next wave of attacks was even more devastating than the first. The aliens launched an all-out assault on several key human cities, hoping to crush the spirit of the resistance once and for all. Entire cities were obliterated in the blink of an eye. And yet, amid the destruction, something remarkable happened. Humanity didn't break. They didn't bow down. Instead, they fought back harder. The resistance launched a series of well-coordinated strikes on the alien supply ships, stealing their resources and taking down the enemy's command center in a series of precise, devastating hits. With each victory, the resistance grew more confident. They were no longer the weak, frightened humans who had watched their soldiers fall without hope. They were now a force to be reckoned with. They had the alien technology, they had the will to fight, and they had the element of surprise on their side. And that's when humanity did the unthinkable. In a move that stunned the aliens, the resistance launched a full-scale assault on one of the alien motherships, the largest of its kind, hovering above Earth. It was a massive gamble. If they failed, it would mean the end of humanity. But they didn't care. The stakes had never been higher. This was their chance for revenge, for redemption, and they weren't going to back down. They launched their attack with a mix of stolen alien technology and their own ingenuity. The assault was fast and furious, hitting the mothership with everything they had. The aliens fought back with everything in their arsenal, but humanity had learned how to outsmart them. The humans struck when the mothership's shields were at their weakest, exploiting the aliens' overconfidence and their underestimation of human creativity. The battle was long and grueling, but in the end, humanity triumphed. The mothership was destroyed, crumbling in a spectacular explosion that lit up the sky. It was the single greatest victory humanity had ever achieved in the war. The aliens, stunned by the destruction of their flagship, began to retreat. They weren't giving up just yet, but they were now on the defensive. The victory marked a turning point in the war. Earth's resistance had proven that they were capable of striking fear into the hearts of the invaders. The tide had turned, and the aliens now had to fight for their survival. Humanity was no longer on the back foot. The resistance was stronger than ever, and the world had begun to believe that Earth might just stand a chance after all. As the war raged on, humanity's thirst for revenge only grew. Each victory, no matter how small, felt like a personal win for every life lost in the invasion. Earth's fighters weren't just trying to save their planet anymore. They were fighting for the memory of those they had lost. They were fighting to ensure that no one would ever dare to invade Earth again. And while the aliens continued their assault, they had learned the hard way that humanity was not the weak species they had thought it to be. The humans, driven by the memory of their fallen, the thirst for revenge, and the knowledge that they could now win, pressed on. The story of Earth's resistance was becoming a legend, one of unimaginable courage, unyielding strength, and an unwavering will to survive. The fight was far from over, but with each passing day, the aliens found themselves facing the humanity that refused to surrender, a humanity that would stop at nothing to take back what was theirs. The war was no longer a question of if Earth would win. It was a question of when. And as the skies grew darker with each passing battle, humanity could finally say with confidence, they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for victory, and they would make sure the aliens paid for every life they had taken. The battle for Earth was now their war to win. The war raged on, and every day Earth's forces grew stronger, more organized, and more determined. The initial shock of the alien invasion had worn off, replaced by a burning desire to reclaim the world that had been so ruthlessly taken from them. The resistance, once a ragtag group of survivors, had now become a formidable fighting force, honed by the fires of battle and driven by the haunting memories of those who had fallen. The aliens had miscalculated humanity's resilience. They thought they could crush Earth with one swift blow, but they hadn't accounted for the unyielding strength of the human spirit. The humans had suffered terrible losses, yes, but those losses had only made them stronger. The pain of losing their families, their homes, their cities, had ignited a fierce rage that burned like an unquenchable fire. This anger wasn't just an emotion, it was a weapon that humanity wielded with skill and determination. The battle for Earth was no longer just about defense. The tide had turned, and humanity was on the offensive. Every alien ship that fell, every piece of their technology that was repurposed, brought the resistance one step closer to victory. The aliens were beginning to realize that they had underestimated their enemies. The Earthlings were no longer scattered and broken. They were united in a way that the invaders had never seen before. The humans had developed tactics that the aliens couldn't predict. They used guerrilla warfare, hitting the invaders where they least expected it, small, precise strikes that caused maximum damage while leaving the aliens scrambling to respond. It wasn't about brute force anymore. It was about cleverness, strategy, and the will to win. The resistance made use of the terrain, the cities, and even the remnants of alien tech to their advantage. They knew that if they could continue to weaken the invaders, they could eventually turn the tide of the war in their favor. But the aliens weren't going to give up without a fight. They had already suffered significant losses, but they were still a powerful enemy. They had their own ways of adapting, and they launched counterattacks that threatened to break the momentum of the resistance. These attacks were brutal and calculated, designed to inflict maximum damage. But each time they struck, the humans responded with even greater force. The resistance fought with a fury that could not be matched. They had lost everything, and they would stop at nothing to take back what was theirs. As the war dragged on, both sides suffered heavy casualties. Entire cities were reduced to rubble, and the Earth's surface was scared by the battles fought above it. The resistance had launched a full-scale assault on one of the alien bases, hoping to deal a decisive blow to their enemy. The battle was fierce, and for a moment, it seemed like the resistance might be overwhelmed. The alien forces were relentless, their technology still far superior in many ways. But then, something changed. A group of resistance fighters, having discovered a weakness in the aliens' defense system, launched a bold strike against the heart of the enemy's command center. The attack was swift and deadly. They infiltrated the base, disabling the main communication network and causing chaos among the alien forces. It was a huge victory, and it sent a clear message to the invaders. Humanity wasn't going to back down. The aliens, realizing they were in danger of losing their grip on Earth, escalated their efforts. They launched an all-out assault on the remaining human strongholds, hoping to crush the resistance once and for all. The final battle was upon them. The skies darkened with the presence of the alien motherships, their ominous silhouettes blotting out the sun as they descended toward Earth. The planet held its breath. The resistance, now a unified force of nations, didn't hesitate. They had gathered their strength, their resources, and their will to fight. The time had come to face the enemy head-on. They knew it would be the most difficult battle of their lives, but they also knew it was their last chance. If they didn't succeed, humanity would be enslaved forever. The final battle began with a deafening roar. The resistance launched their most ambitious attack yet, using every weapon at their disposal. They used alien technology to their advantage, creating powerful energy shields, advanced weapons, and even new types of combat vehicles. The battle unfolded in the skies, above the ruins of once great cities, as human forces clashed with the alien motherships. The resistance fighters fought with every ounce of strength they had. The memory of their fallen comrades fueled their efforts. The alien motherships unleashed devastating firepower, attempting to crush the humans below. But the resistance was prepared. They moved swiftly and decisively, hitting the aliens at their weakest points. They attacked the power cores, they disabled the communications networks, and they made sure that every blow they struck counted. Amid the chaos, a group of resistance pilots managed to infiltrate the largest of the alien motherships. Their mission was clear: destroy the heart of the invaders' fleet. With only moments to spare, they launched a final, desperate attack on the mothership's central core. The ship shook violently, and with a deafening explosion, it was torn apart. The other alien ships, without their central command, began to spiral into disarray. The victory was hard-fought, but it was decisive. The aliens, caught off guard by the ferocity of humanity's resistance, began to retreat. They had underestimated Earth's capacity to adapt and fight back. The invasion that had started with so much confidence ended in chaos, with the invaders fleeing in disarray. Humanity had won. But the war was far from over. The remaining alien forces, though scattered and weakened, still posed a threat. But Earth had proved something the invaders hadn't counted on. Humans would never give up. No matter the odds, no matter the losses, humanity would always fight for its survival. And with every victory, the message was clear: Earth would never bow to any conqueror, no matter how powerful they seemed. The aftermath of the battle was a mixture of relief and grief. Earth had won, but at a tremendous cost. Cities lay in ruins, and millions of lives had been lost. But as the survivors stood among the wreckage, there was a sense of triumph in the air. Humanity had proven its strength. They had shown that they were not a species to be trifled with. And though the scars of the war would never truly heal, the people of Earth had won the right to rebuild their world. The alien forces had made a fatal mistake. They had believed that their advanced technology and overwhelming numbers would make them invincible. But in the end, It was humanity's resilience, their unity, and their unshakable spirit that had triumphed over them. Earth had taken a stand, and in doing so, had sent a message to the rest of the universe. This planet would never be conquered again. Humanity had risen from the ashes, stronger than ever, and it was only a matter of time before they would begin to rebuild their world, piece by piece, and prepare for whatever came next. The alien invasion had been defeated, but humanity's story was far from over. It was just beginning. The destruction had been catastrophic. Cities that once thrived with life were reduced to nothing but dust and charred remains. The memory of the 12 brave soldiers who had fallen in the first wave of the alien invasion was still fresh in the minds of everyone who survived. Their sacrifice had not been in vain, though. It had lit a fire in the hearts of the survivors. The drive for revenge was now the fuel for the war, and humanity was no longer the helpless, weak species the aliens had thought they could wipe out with ease. The resistance, at first a few scattered groups of survivors, was now a united front. Every corner of the world was under siege, but humanity wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting for the memory of those lost, for their fallen soldiers, for their homes. Their pain was transforming into something more powerful: determination, courage, and above all, a thirst for revenge. The aliens had come to Earth thinking it would be an easy conquest, but they had underestimated the human spirit. Humanity's first few victories were small, but they had a profound impact. After months of struggling, the resistance had begun to turn the tide. They captured alien technology and reverse-engineered it to create weapons powerful enough to fight back. The first alien ship they brought down was a turning point. It was a message to the invaders. Earth wasn't going down without a fight. The aliens had made their first grave mistake. They had underestimated Earth. From there, the human resistance grew bolder. They attacked alien bases, infiltrated motherships, and sabotaged supply lines. Their once scattered forces began to unite into a formidable fighting force, and humanity became a force the aliens could no longer ignore. For every alien ship destroyed, for every base taken, humanity's resolve grew stronger. But it wasn't just the alien technology that gave them an advantage. It was their ability to adapt and learn quickly. Earth's fighters were resourceful and relentless, taking advantage of the alien weaknesses they discovered through their battles. One of the greatest breakthroughs came when humanity realized that the aliens relied heavily on their central command hubs to coordinate their operations. The humans figured out that if they could disrupt these hubs, they could cripple the alien forces. Armed with this knowledge, the resistance launched coordinated strikes on the alien command centers. It wasn't an easy task, and the losses were heavy. But the result was undeniable. The alien forces began to falter, their once impressive attacks turning into disorganized counterstrikes. The resistance also began to hit them where it hurt the most, at their morale. The aliens had thought that their superior technology would be enough to break humanity's will, but with each victory, Earth's fighters proved the invaders wrong. The more the aliens attacked, the stronger humanity fought back. It became clear to the alien forces that the war wasn't just about technology or firepower, it was about the will to survive. As the weeks turned into months, the battle intensified. The resistance launched bold raids against alien outposts, disrupting their supply chains and stealing crucial technology. Earth's forces grew bolder, more skilled, and more organized. The aliens were beginning to realize that they had made a grave mistake by underestimating their enemies. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, to fight, and to never give up. The most daring move came when the resistance made a direct assault on the alien mothership hovering above Earth. It was the ultimate gamble, and the human forces knew that if they failed, it could mean the end of the war. The mothership was the heart of the alien invasion, and if they could destroy it, they could cripple the entire alien fleet. The battle for the mothership was brutal. The humans launched a full-scale attack, using everything they had learned from the alien technology and their own ingenuity. The aliens fought back fiercely, But humanity's fighters were determined. They pressed on, each soldier driven by the memory of their fallen comrades and the hope of revenge for all those who had perished in the initial wave of the invasion. And then, in a moment of pure defiance, humanity did the unthinkable. A small group of resistance fighters managed to infiltrate the mothership, making their way deep into its heart. Armed with explosives and a resolve to do whatever it took, they detonated the core of the alien ship. The mothership erupted in a fiery explosion, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. It was a victory of unimaginable proportions. The alien fleet, disoriented and without their command, began to retreat. The explosion of the mothership was a symbol of Earth's victory. The aliens who had thought they could easily crush humanity now found themselves retreating from the planet they had once thought would be theirs. The resistance had proven that no matter how advanced their enemies were, the human will to survive could not be broken. However, the war was far from over. The alien forces, while retreating, had not been completely defeated. The battle for Earth had shifted in humanity's favor, but the invaders were regrouping. The resistance was stronger than ever, but they still had to deal with the remnants of the alien army that was now scattered across the planet. Despite this, there was a sense of hope that had never been there before. Humanity was no longer just trying to survive. They had taken the first step toward winning this war. They had sent a clear message to the invaders: Earth would not fall. The months following the destruction of the mothership were filled with both celebration and mourning. The world had seen how strong humanity could be when united, but they also knew that the cost of their victory had been high. Cities lay in ruins, countless lives had been lost, and the scars of the war would remain for generations. Yet, amid the devastation, humanity stood tall. They had fought for their planet, for their families, and for their future. And as Earth's forces began to regroup and prepare for the final stages of the war, the aliens realized that they had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated the human spirit, and now they would pay the price. Humanity had come together in a way that the aliens never expected, and the memory of the 12 fallen soldiers would live on as a symbol of the unbreakable will of the human race. With the alien forces retreating and Earth's resistance stronger than ever, humanity knew that they were on the verge of victory. The aliens had come to Earth to conquer it, but in the end, it would be humanity's fierce desire for revenge and survival that would ensure they never came back. The war was not over, but Earth's fighters had one thing that the aliens would never understand: hope. And as long as they had hope, they would never surrender. Earth would rise again, stronger than ever, and it would be humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and spirit that would ensure it would always remain free. The aliens had learned a valuable lesson: never underestimate humanity's power to fight back. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The final chapter was still to be written, and humanity was ready to finish it. The dust had barely settled after the destruction of the alien mothership when humanity realized that their victory, though monumental, had come at a tremendous cost. The Earth was scared, cities reduced to rubble, and millions of lives lost. But the survivors had something the aliens didn't expect: a burning desire not only to survive, but to exact vengeance for the horrors they had endured. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they would pay the price. The resistance had been growing stronger with each passing day, its ranks swelling with people from all walks of life, each with their own personal story of loss, anger, and determination. The survivors, those who had lost friends, family, and homes, had come together under the banner of revenge. It was no longer just about survival. It was about payback, and with each victory, humanity's resolve hardened like steel. While the alien mothership's destruction had given Earth a major strategic advantage, it wasn't the end of the war. Far from it. The alien fleet had retreated temporarily, but they were far from defeated. The remnants of their forces were scattered across Earth, reorganizing, regrouping, and preparing for their next offensive. However, they had learned a harsh lesson. Humanity was capable of unimaginable courage when faced with annihilation. Now, Earth's warriors knew they had to strike before the invaders could recover. In the wake of their victory, the resistance intensified their efforts. Using the technology they had scavenged from the wreckage of alien ships, they built weapons more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen. The fight wasn't just about using brute force anymore. The resistance had become a tactical powerhouse, employing guerrilla warfare and surprise attacks to hit the invaders where it hurt most. The aliens had superior weaponry, but humanity had the advantage of creativity. Earth's engineers and scientists had worked tirelessly to reverse engineer alien technology, improving upon it and making it their own. The resistance had begun to develop new ways to disrupt alien communication systems, hack into their spacecraft, and sabotage their supply lines. Earth's forces had found a way to make the invaders fear them in ways they hadn't expected. But the aliens weren't blind to the danger. They had seen the shift in power, and they responded with ferocity. They launched a series of devastating counterattacks, focusing their energy on the remaining human strongholds. Major cities that had been rebuilt in the wake of the first wave of destruction were once again reduced to ash. The alien forces were ruthless, and they left nothing behind but destruction. But each blow they struck only fueled humanity's desire for revenge even more. Each life lost was one more reason to fight. Then came the message, a chilling broadcast transmitted by the alien command. The invaders, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves cornered. They had miscalculated the human spirit. The alien commander, speaking through a distorted transmission, called for Earth's unconditional surrender. He promised that if humanity gave in, the survivors would be spared. But the resistance, battered and bruised as they were, refused to even consider the idea. Surrender was not an option, not now, not after everything they had lost. Instead, the resistance had something else in mind. They knew the aliens would not go quietly. They had to be shown that Earth would never be theirs. And so, with a final, desperate gamble, humanity planned its most daring strike yet, an all-out attack on the alien homeworld. This was no ordinary mission. It was a suicide mission, an attempt to strike directly at the heart of the alien empire. The humans would infiltrate the alien planet and plant a series of devastating charges at the very core of their civilization. If the operation succeeded, it would cripple the aliens beyond repair and finally end their reign of terror. If it failed, however, humanity would be destroyed once and for all. The operation was a massive undertaking, one that required coordination and resources on a scale never seen before. The resistance had to act quickly, for the alien forces were preparing for one last, decisive strike against Earth. The clock was ticking. With everything at stake, Earth's best and brightest, the finest soldiers, the most skilled engineers, the most brilliant minds, were selected to take part in the operation. The plan was simple in theory, but incredibly complex in execution. The resistance would infiltrate the alien stronghold, plant the explosives, and then leave before the alien forces had a chance to react. It was an audacious plan, one that relied on precise timing, stealth, and a bit of luck. As the strike force made their way toward the alien homeworld, tension was palpable. Each member of the team knew the odds were stacked against them. The journey to the heart of the alien empire would be treacherous, fraught with danger, but they also knew they were carrying the hopes of all of humanity on their shoulders. The loss of the mothership had already sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, but if this mission succeeded, it would cripple the entire alien war machine. The resistance fighters made their way deep into the alien stronghold, working in the shadows, moving like phantoms in the dark. Every step they took was carefully calculated, every move planned to avoid detection. They knew the aliens were watching, waiting for any sign of weakness. But humanity had learned how to hide in plain sight. They had learned to strike with precision, to hit where it hurt most. Time was running out. The explosive charges were in place, and the team was ready to make their escape. But as they prepared to leave, disaster struck. The alien forces had detected the infiltration. The strike force was trapped, surrounded by alien soldiers. The clock was ticking down, and the resistance fighters knew they had no choice but to fight their way out. A fierce battle erupted, the resistance soldiers fighting with everything they had. There was no retreat, no surrender. This was it. Either they succeeded or humanity would be lost. In the chaos, the countdown reached its final moments. With one last desperate push, the team triggered the explosives. The blast was deafening. The entire alien stronghold was rocked to its core. The shockwave sent a ripple through the alien fleet, knocking them off balance. And then, the alien homeworld began to crumble. The invaders, stunned by the magnitude of the destruction, retreated in panic. Earth's fighters had done the impossible. They had struck at the heart of the alien empire, and they had won. Though the war was far from over, humanity had struck a decisive blow. The aliens, once so confident in their superiority, were now reeling. Their command structure had been obliterated, their fleets shattered, and their forces in disarray. It was clear that the tide of war had turned. The survivors, battered but triumphant, knew that this was their moment. The final phase of the war was coming, but humanity had shown that it was more than capable of fighting back. They had taken on the invaders, and they had proven that Earth would never be conquered. Not now, not ever. The story of humanity's resistance was becoming a legend, a story of defiance, courage, and a thirst for vengeance that would echo through the stars for all time. The aliens had learned the hard way. Never underestimate the resilience of a species fighting for its survival. Humanity was not just fighting to win. They were fighting for their very existence, and nothing could stand in their way. The war was far from over, but one thing was certain: Earth would rise again. The aliens were in full retreat, but Earth's fight was far from over. The destruction of their central command and the crippling blow to their homeworld had shaken the invaders, but the damage done to the planet's surface, the loss of lives, and the battered remnants of humanity's defense force proved that victory was still distant. Every human fighter knew the truth. Despite their monumental successes, they were not out of the woods yet. The alien forces, though fractured, had not been wiped out. They were regrouping, reshuffling their resources, and preparing for one last desperate attempt to take control of Earth. But this time, humanity was ready. No longer would they sit back and wait to be wiped out. No longer would they be the prey in this fight. This was the final stand, the battle that would decide the fate of both species. The resistance fighters, who had once been survivors of a scattered and helpless Earth, were now a hardened, battle-tested force. The survivors of the first wave of attacks had transformed into soldiers, engineers, strategists, and leaders. They were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for retribution, for the memory of the 12 brave humans who had fallen at the hands of the aliens, for the countless lives lost in the initial wave of destruction, and for a future that still held hope. With each victory, humanity's strategy had grown more sophisticated. No longer relying on brute force, Earth's resistance fighters used guerrilla tactics, advanced alien technology, and the power of their unity to strike fear into the invaders. The alien forces were disorganized, scrambling to deal with the swift, unexpected strikes that hit them from all corners of the planet. Humanity had learned how to fight on their terms, using what little remained of their cities, forests, and mountains to their advantage. But the aliens had their own strengths: advanced weaponry, formidable technology, and an army that was still vast and powerful. Their counterattacks grew more violent, more desperate, as they sought to crush humanity once and for all. But Earth's defenders were relentless. The survival of humanity was at stake, and each fighter knew they had no choice but to give their all. The final battle for Earth began to take shape. For the past few weeks, the resistance had been preparing for a full-scale assault on the remaining alien strongholds. The alien forces had retreated into their last remaining fortresses, but humanity was determined to bring them down. Every nation on Earth had come together, and the last remnants of the world's military forces had united into a single fighting force. Every soldier, every resistance fighter, was ready for the ultimate confrontation. The fight would not be easy, but it had to happen. The alien motherships, though weakened, still hovered above Earth, keeping the pressure on the humans below. Their presence was a constant reminder of the enemy that had caused so much destruction. The countdown to the final battle began, and humanity had no time to waste. The first part of the plan was to take out the remaining alien ground forces. The resistance knew that if they could take out the invaders' ability to defend themselves on Earth's surface, it would make the final assault on the motherships that much easier. Every unit of soldiers, every guerrilla group, every survivor who had trained for this moment was given a specific target. The alien bases scattered across the planet's surface were systematically obliterated. The resistance fighters made use of everything they had learned: alien technology, Earth-made weapons, and tactics they had perfected over the last few years. Then came the day of reckoning, the final push against the alien motherships. Humanity's forces had assembled a fleet, using a combination of their own air and space forces, along with salvaged alien ships. It was an impossible mission, one that seemed destined for failure, but it was their only option. The alien motherships were the last bastion of the invaders' power. Without them, their ability to command the remaining forces would falter. The battle for the skies began with thunderous force. The Resistance's fleet, though small compared to the aliens' vast armada, fought with a fury that could not be matched. The sky lit up with explosions, and the air was thick with fire and smoke. The alien ships fired relentlessly, but humanity's fleet fought back with everything they had. The battle was brutal, with casualties mounting on both sides. The air was filled with the sounds of weapons firing, ships crashing, and the unrelenting hum of the alien technology. Among the chaos, a small group of resistance fighters aboard a heavily damaged ship made their way toward the largest of the motherships. Their mission was clear: destroy the alien command center. It was a suicide mission, but it was the only chance they had left. The team, led by one of the Resistance's most experienced pilots, managed to infiltrate the mothership. With a combination of sabotage and sheer determination, they reached the heart of the alien command structure. As they planted the explosives, the countdown began. The team knew there was no turning back. It was all or nothing. They had only moments before the alien mothership would send reinforcements to Earth, enough to wipe out all of humanity in one devastating strike. With no time to spare, they initiated the final countdown. The ship trembled as the countdown ticked closer to zero, and in the final moments, the team rushed to escape. They barely made it off the mothership before the entire structure erupted in an explosion that shook the very fabric of space. The explosion sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. Without their main command center, the aliens fell into disarray. Their ships, once so formidable, began to drift aimlessly, vulnerable to the final strikes of humanity's forces. The skies were filled with wreckage as the remaining alien motherships were picked off one by one. It was the final nail in the coffin. The alien invaders, once so confident in their superiority, were now in full retreat, their forces scattered and broken. For the first time in years, Earth's fighters could breathe. The war was over. The resistance had won. The cost had been steep: billions of lives lost, cities reduced to ashes, and the Earth left in ruins. But humanity had proven something that the aliens would never forget: that they were not a species to be crushed. They would rise again. Earth would rebuild, and humanity's resilience would be remembered for generations to come. The aliens had come to Earth with one goal in mind: to conquer and subjugate. But in the end, it was humanity's spirit, its unyielding desire to survive and to protect what was theirs, that had triumphed. The aliens had made the mistake of thinking they could dominate a world that had just begun to realize its true power. Now, Earth was free. As the dust settled, humanity looked to the future. The Earth had been scared, but it would heal. The survivors, united by their shared struggle, began to rebuild what had been lost, but they would never forget the war that had defined them. The lessons learned, the sacrifices made, and the strength shown by every human who had fought in this battle would echo for all time. The aliens had underestimated Earth, and in doing so, they had sealed their own fate. The story of humanity's survival, of their rise from the ashes, would become a legend, a story to inspire not just the people of Earth, but every corner of the galaxy. The war may have ended, but humanity's journey had only just begun.